Hi guys, so the Queen's Jubilee will take place in a few weeks' time, and it seems that the RMT, the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union, is planning strike action to coincide with that event. The reason for the strike seems to be bullying and a toxic environment at Euston and Green Park stations. There have been a number of dismissals that the trade union want reviewed, but management doesn't seem interested in listening to the concerns of tube workers. Notice here how Tory fanboy Andrew Pearce and his friend Bob Neill MP trash Sadiq Khan over this and ignore the concerns of workers.
Good evening, Andrew. Well, I agree with you. It's cheap and it's cynical and it's thoroughly nasty. It's basically putting two fingers up to the Queen and putting two fingers up to the ordinary hard-working public who want to enjoy the day, celebrate an amazing lifetime of service and celebrate a public holiday. It's really appalling.
How is this two fingers up to the Queen? These are people who are going on strike because of conditions that they are expected to work under. And they say, of course they're going to go on strike on this day because it will have maximum impact. It's going to disrupt many people's public holiday. But which is more important? That people can't go and see the Jubilee, or that some other people have to work within a toxic environment?
What basis and what grounds do they give Sir Bob to do this?
Well, there seems to be some suggestion of bullying, as I understand it, and some workplace practices. It's not a pay dispute. Not surprising. The average tube driver gets about £56,000 a year, most of them more with overtime. So
why did you talk about pay then? Obviously, see, this is something that Tories and their enablers in the media will do to turn the public against the workers. So people go on strike, be it teachers, be it firefighters, be it tube workers here in this situation. And what they'll talk about is, oh, look how much money they earn. Now, obviously, this is not a pay dispute. Bob even said it himself. Then why did Bob talk about the pay? Obviously, it's to turn the public against the workers. They earn lots of money. Why are they going on strike? Shouldn't they be happy with what they have? This is not about paying. So this is not about the conditions of the work. This is about turning the public against the workers. That's what the Tories and their enablers in the media do. It doesn't matter if it's teachers or train drivers or firefighters. It doesn't matter who it is. If it serves their purpose, they use whatever tools they have to convince the public against. Now, he said this is the average, £58,000 a year. Obviously, if it's the average, means there are people who earn more than that and people who earn less than that. But this is not about pay.
It's not about money. It's about some discontent at a workplace. Well, if they've got that, A, they should negotiate first, and B, why choose those days and those stations if it's...
They should negotiate first. Obviously, does he not understand how strike action works? You don't just go on strike. You negotiate with the management. If the negotiations break down, then the next step is strike action. It's very unusual for an organisation to go on strike first. And I don't think that's what's happened here. The trade union has said that they have been trying to negotiate with the management. The management has dismissed people. They want that reviewed. There's a toxic environment. There is a particular management that does not work well with the workers and the unions. And this is the result of the breaking down of the negotiation. He said, Bob here is suggesting, yeah, you should negotiate. Yes, they've probably done that, you idiot. That hasn't worked. That's why they're going on strike. And why do they choose this time? It's to have maximum impact. You're not going to have a strike on a day that's not going to have any impact. Defeats the entire purpose of having a strike. You have to, look, it's not nice, but if you want to convince the public that you are in a difficult situation or that you have a problem, you do it on the day it's going to have an impact. Because if you do it on another day, it's not going to have any impact. It's simple.
It's that important. You know, the timing, as you rightly pointed out, and where they're doing it makes it clear that this is actually about playing a political stunt by, as you know, a very hard left-wing trade union.
So if you have a problem in your workplace, if people have been laid off, in a way that is not correct, if there's a toxic environment. That's all. No, that we don't focus on that. We focus on the politics of members of a trade union. Once again, this is about turning the public against the workers. Bob doesn't seem to understand the concerns of the workers. He doesn't seem to be interested in the real concerns of the workers. He talked about pay, which was not on the table. He talked about bullying, but shouldn't they overlook the bullying and think of the Queen? Just to go off topic for a moment, this Jubilee is being paid by the taxpayer. The Queen is a billionaire. Why the hell doesn't she pay for her own bloody Jubilee? But anyway, let's continue.
What can the government do about it? Can they can they man those stations, in other ways to ensure that people can get into London, can get to the palace for the Jubilee?
What is he suggesting? Bring in the army again? Every time there's a problem, bring in the army. We don't have enough HGV drivers, bring in the army. We don't have enough fruit pickers, bring in the army. We don't have enough nurses and doctors because we ended freedom of movement, bring in the army. The Queen needs to have her Jubilee. That's been paid for by the taxpayer. The train drivers have gone on strike. Bring in the army.
Well, of course, the running of TfL is responsibility not of government, but of the mayor.
Yeah.
And the government have
Sadiq
rightly
Khan
said, yeah, exactly. And the real question is, what's Sadiq Khan going to do about it? And I think we've scarcely heard a peep out of Sadiq Khan about this. I haven't seen him rushing out to condemn. Have we seen him sitting down? He's, after all, the chair of TfL. Has he been sitting down with the unions and the management to sort this issue out?
You said that he's part of the management. And now you're asking, did he sit down with the management? If he's on the board of TfL, then obviously he's part of the management. So how can he sit down with the management? Like, does Bob actually understand how this train service operates? Does he understand how this company operates? If he's part of the management, then he has probably sat down with the unions. Why isn't he condemned? Condemned who? The management or condemn the unions? Obviously, Bob wants him to condemn the unions here because Bob's problem is not the toxic environment, but Bob's problem is not the fact that workers have been laid off and there are issues related to that. No, that's not Bob's problem. Bob's problem is that there's a strike and it's happening at the time of the Jubilee. This is his priority. To hell with the workers. Get these trains moving because we have to keep the Queen happy. The Queen who is having a Jubilee paid for by the taxpayer. And this really upsets me. I'm sorry to go off on this, but this really upsets me because there are people who are struggling at the moment because of the cost of living crisis, people who are not sure whether they're going to be able to pay their bills, people who are getting into debt over their bills. And what's going to happen in June? There's going to be a massive party thrown for a multi-millionaire or billionaire because she did her job. Okay, look, I'm not criticizing Elizabeth Windsor. She found herself in that situation. It's not her fault. But why is there a massive party for a billionaire while people are struggling to feed their families, while people are going into debt in order to heat their homes or light their homes? How is that possible? Sorry to be going off on a tangent here, but we have tube workers who are going on strike because they're working in a toxic environment. And the response from the Tory MP is, well, just grim and bear it because there are more important things. The Jubilee is more important. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.